Hi, what's up? So I'm going to talk about What's Eaten Gilbert Grape and how the media portrays the movie. And my notes are like down here. So if I look down there, I'm sorry, just stick with it. Okay, so to start off, I want to give you a summary of the movie. And I'm going to read the actual summary of the movie because I do have a problem with it. But we'll get into that later. So, in What's Eaten Gilbert Grape is a small town young man with a lot of responsibilities. Chief among his concerns are his mother, played by Darlene Katz, who is overweight that she can't leave the house, and his mentally impaired brother, we'll get back to that, Arnie, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, who has a knack for finding himself in trouble. Settled into a job at the grocery store and an ongoing affair with a local woman, Betty Carver, played by Mary Steenburgen. Gilbert finally has his life shaken up by the free-spirited Becky, played by Juliette Lewis. So, that is the summary of the movie. How does the media portray the disability? Is it positive or negative or neutral? So, in What's Eaten Gilbert Grape, they make a negative portrayal of the character Arnie. The character is seen as a burden to his older brother, Gilbert. The people in town are treating Arnie unfairly because they believe that he is a reckless young boy rather than looking at his disabilities. So in the summary that I read, they say he's mentally impaired. I feel like personally that puts a negative aspect on his disability. If they wanted to say something, they could say, this is my friend Arnie. Arnie happens to have autism. You know, they could talk about the disability itself instead of saying mentally impaired. Because, yeah. So Arnie's always getting into trouble throughout the whole film. He climbs up a water tank, I think 3 times. Although Leonardo DiCaprio did a great job conveying his character because this is what he was told to do and how to act, it does not really resemble everybody with autism, and it's just kind of giving you the worst but also the best. The movie contradicts itself. We'll get to that too. Yes, I understand that every case is different, but they're making the character seem helpless and that he's dependent on his brother for everything. How does the selected media either break cultural assumptions and misconceptions and stereotypes about what it's like living with disability, and what messages do these representations say about disabilities? So one stereotype that is conveyed throughout the whole film is that he's dependent on people 100% of the time. Since the character is dependent 100% on the time, it strengthens the idea / misconception that people who have autism are reliant 100% of the time. Now, the reason it's conveying this message is because they don't talk about how other people with disabilities live. You know, yeah. So, what does the message represent about disabilities? I believe it has a bad representation for the audience because somebody who has autism isn't always causing mayhem, and that's what they're kind of showing throughout the film, is that the brother's kind of always showing mayhem, but they love him, and they really do, but I don't know. So the last question, how do the representations connect with what we've talked about in class? So I'm going to use the book to help me talk about it. So on page 27, they quote, "Because we are so widespread, yet ironically have had notice, we believe it is worthwhile to recognize representations and highlight how problematic they are in perpetuating stereotypes, disorders, and misunderstandings of disabilities that in turn perpetuate the marginalization of people with disabilities." I believe what's going on in Eaten Gilbert Grape, this is the biggest problem. They're putting out so many misconceptions that people that the audience believes that people who have disabilities, this is what it's like. It's this way or it's the highway. Some people see, there are so many stereotypes within the film. One I see is that he's sweet and innocent, but he's also a burden. He's an outcast, and he's incapable of participating with his family in the daily life. I'm going to run over for like 2 seconds. I'm sorry. but because it's already been 5 minutes. Now I understand that some stereotypes are based on reality. Some people with disabilities are reliant on their family, but it's not the case for everyone. One other problem I have with the film is that the character will constantly contradict his actions, where he'll be doing something so complex, but then he can't do the simple things that he would be able to do. So the movie contradicts the character a lot. I think you're running out of time. If you want to talk more about it, I didn't get it all in the video, but thanks.